Yep.
Okay, call meeting to order. Switzerland County Council, August 14th, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you guys for coming tonight. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes for our July 10th, 2024 meeting. All had a chance to see those.
Nope, I didn't. Our printer wasn't working and I didn't get to redo those. I just thought of that as soon as she said that. There's an issue with that, with the last paragraph, and there's a spelling issue that Matt pointed out to me, so.
Couple typos. Well, we can approve it with the change of the typos.
I'll get them changed in the morning and hopefully get them printed out.
We sign this one and it's typo.
I don't think
Well, you,
the last paragraph.
It's not so much a
should have-
typo, it's just, he asked that I reword the last paragraph.
yeah, 'cause it didn't, that one part didn't make a lot of sense.
And probably. Somebody's gonna come in and ask me.
Until the next meeting. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, they approve both.
No, because I didn't get them changed. I didn't even think about that until after he said that.
Okay, so we'll table it till next time. All right, sorry. Not the end of the world. Okay, old business, there's nothing on for old business. New business, we need to pass the non-binding review. The property tax levy, she sent this, to everybody gets to see that. She sent it to us, was it last week, wasn't it? Or maybe earlier. It shows the percentages that all the townships get. The school, our estimated tax levy is $5,179,480, and with the circuit breakers, it's estimated for 2020, that was 2025. 2024 was 5,055,091. So we're with a 4% growth, I think is what it shows on here. So we have to have a motion to pass that. And then Gail will be giving either the minutes to everyone or a copy of this.
That's what I do. I give them the minutes and a copy of this as well.
Okay.
Then that also gets put on the government site, whatever.
Need a motion
Motion to pass is approved as
of
is.
non-binding review. Matt made a motion to pass the non-binding review.
I'll second.
Andy second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is Karen Dukavich, clerk perpetuation time. Please. Okay.
Right, this is probably gonna be usual and customary, I don't know. On August 1st, the state was recommending that we stop taking checks or any other form of payment other than cash for child support. So right now we have 2 tills in the office and each till has $50 in it. And I'm just asking to kind of explaining why and asking for those tills to be increased to $50 to $100 a piece. Because right now the girls are running down to the auditor's office, taking change out of her office. It would be just easier to have $100 in each till as opposed to 50. Okay. So I don't know if that needs to be, I don't know that it needs to be appropriated. Probably this needs to be voted on and approved.
She's wanting to take the money out of the perpetuation fund, or are you wanting it to,
I think
what did you tell me
I think
earlier?
it comes out of the general fund.
It's just change, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And right now there's $50 in
In
it,
each one.
in each one, and you want $100 in each one. So
Mhm.
that's an increase of $100.
Yeah, total.
Okay, and it comes out of the general fund.
I believe so. It says,
I mean, it just says,
Okay,
Comes
so,
out of the general fund.
yeah, we do need to make an
Yeah.
appropriation
Yeah.
for that. So just you have to advertise that, and then we have to vote on the appropriation.
After the fact that it's been advertised.
Yes,
So the 50 comes out of one of these line items currently.
it currently does.
The 50, no, it doesn't come out of, that's money that's been sitting in that office, or it doesn't come out of any of her line items or anything. It's not accounted for. It's just part of the general fund. Yeah,
It has a line item that shows, I've got my chart of accounts and it does show
Cash,
$100,
maybe.
cash $100, and then my checking account, so.
but it's not specifically, it's the general fund's money. You know what I mean? It's not like her perpetuation fund or anything like that.
And then at the end of the clerk's term, according to this, everything's returned back to the fiscal body, to the general.
It
Okay.
gets counted down, yeah.
So it doesn't continue on.
Right, but she'll have to advertise that before we can do the appropriation for that. All right,
All right, I would like to use my perpetuation fund to buy some new cabinetry for our office. We need to organize and improve our current filing system, and it'll streamline our daily and monthly processes and keep needed items that don't need to be out under lock and key. And it will really help our office better serve the public. It's just basically, we have a lot of files that are sitting loose that shouldn't be out and things that should be put away. So I basically gave you the code, gave you the estimate from the vendor, which is Office Shop. And the ask for this is 11,160. And my perpetuation fund currently has 21,852.67 in it. And it would be moved to, I have the correct, there's a line item on the perpetuation budget that says miscellaneous expenses. It's a 4,900, so we just move it from there to pay for, is that correct?
Right. And this will have to be advertised as well.
it has to be advertised.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't need to vote on that till after it's advertised. So that one will be the same thing, which will
Just
be
the-
the next meeting. Yeah, next month's meeting.
And she did, for her 25 budget, she did put money in there, so hopefully she won't have to come every time when she wants to spend some money. Appropriation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then lastly, in March, when I took this office, I know that monies were put on hold for the leftover monies from the clerk's salary that was not being used because Rita had resigned. And at this point, there's roughly 20, I gave you a sheet, there's roughly $23,000 left in that fund. And after being there several months, I've kind of gone through the staff, watched them. We've done a lot of cross training. So we've basically taken the office from being a functional environment to a totally cross-trained environment. And we're going to continue to do so because it would be nice that, you know, when somebody goes on vacation, nothing falls through the cracks. And it really helps in the judge's office and up in the prosecutor's office if we kind of keep the system running. It does run very well with 3 people and a full-time clerk. And all of my office, based on the handbook, my office is open 40 hours and every one of my staff, including myself, is working 40 hours. So my ask is that staff has done a really great job. They've picked up tons and tons and tons of additional work on top of what they were doing originally. And I would like to take the $23,000. I would like to move $1,000 of it to overtime because we don't have an overtime line in there. And then I would also like to take and incentivize each one of my staff and give them an additional $3,000, which gives a remaining balance of $13,871.85 to go back to the county.
15,875.
$13,875. I'm sorry, $13,871.85.
Okay, let me ask a question on this. Okay, so you were wanting to take 1,000 of the $23,000 that of the unused salary.
Yes.
Okay, and is that the unused that for the rest of the year from when she left? Okay. I thought she quit in February. She did.
There
She
was, I think she used year to date, it was
She-
14,700.
The Bridget came in March and asked for the extra, and we asked her to suspend it.
Okay, I was just, I thought
She,
she had more money than that.
She had a payout out of that.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, and then so 3,000 for the 3 employees.
Yes.
How would you do that? Would that? Because we
I
really
don't
don't.
know. I
need
mean, are you
bonus.
wanting to give each one of them $1,000?
No, each one of them $3,000.
Each one of them increase in their salary?
No, if we could bonus them, that would be great.
I don't know.
I don't know if you're allowed to do the bonus.
According to the State Board of
I think that she
Accounts.
can do a bonus for the, she can't do one for herself. You can't do a bonus for an elected official. You can't do a bonus for the,
No, and I'm not asking.
Well, she
for
wasn't
my
asking
position,
for herself.
just
You were
asking
asking
for
to do a
staff.
bonus. We've never done a vote. Well,
well,
I didn't think we were.
we
allowed
have.
to.
I did it when I was the clerk when they did not get a,
But they didn't get a raise.
they didn't get a raise. I guess,
That's
but it, do what?
We do something like that with you, but
I don't know what you did with you guys, but
No, I know that we
No.
created a line item for a bonus for grant writing.
I mean, it was just I think it was a one-time thing. I can't, I would have to go back and look because I can't remember.
Well, I think that's wonderful myself. If, I don't know that your staff works 40 hours a week and that you do too, and I really appreciate that it's a smooth running machine.
It's got some bumps and lumps, but that's to be expected.
Oh, I'm sure that's going.
It's just the computers, when they're not working right, it just
Yeah.
puts a,
The last couple of days, they haven't, I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
I think it's called, well, you guys don't have Spectrum here, because we've been having a lot of.
I think it's the new cameras, but Marty says no.
So, she's asked to puts $1,000 in an overtime line that she does not have currently.
what's
And,
the overtime allowance like?
Well, let me explain. She had asked for her 25 budgets for an overtime allowance to be in each fund. And I changed that so that it would show when you guys look at your booklets. Well, I didn't know that it was going to go ahead and change it now. So that should say
That should
clerk
have,
two, which is
yeah,
It should say what?
clerk two or
Right
deputy
now.
two.
yeah, right now, the overtime allowance is actually,
So that was 0 before.
No,
What's
it's,
It wasn't even there
it
before.
wasn't even there. The 25 budget is going to 4111 is going to be the clerk, which is Karen, 4112, which would be Cindy, and then 4113 would be your overtime. I did not know that it would change 24 when I changed 25.
So you're adding an additional line for overtime allowance basically.
Not so much adding an overline, an additional line, we're just changing the wording.
changing the name of one of them.
Since the deputy is not going to be
Since they're
there.
getting rid of one position.
Yeah.
So we're gonna use that position because it's in the same number column.
Yeah.
We're gonna use that, just call it overtime, because we don't have that. That's what we were doing for 2025, just adding an overtime line to make.
So which
Okay.
line are you changing to say overtime?
Okay,
The one that's there now.
Okay, I thought
But-
that was clerk two.
That will say clerk too.
That
It
will
should say, no, sorry, Mike, this clerk one, clerk
Yep,
of court is 4111.
Yep.
4112 is
clerk,
clerk, the deputy one, and 4113 is deputy two.
Yep.
That's what it should be for 24.
okay,
Going forward, she's gonna have 4111 to be herself, 4112 to be her first deputy, and 4113 be the overtime allowance.
that makes sense.
I
We
guess
just-
I should have changed it back for this meeting to then
That's
change
all
it.
right.
Because there isn't a deputy two anymore.
There, she's not, you guys, when,
yeah,
like
so
she
there's
said,
no
when,
longer a deputy two,
exactly,
that'll be an overtime.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Each,
Anybody else have any questions? Do you understand what she wants to do?
Yeah, I guess the bonus part, I'm not sure that, several meetings ago, when they were asked to work 40 hours. I was trying to calculate everybody that was being asked to work more hours for the same pay, and I just wanted to do that in one shot. What increase for those employees? There's about 17 or 18, something like that.
Yeah, but money was created within that office to do this though, and it isn't anywhere else.
Yeah, that's your money within your department.
Yeah.
Like I said, and also, like I said, I'm eliminating a position in the office as well.
Let me ask you this, when it comes to closer to election, are you gonna need additional temporary support?
I've already got an election budget that covers all of that, and then that overtime budget, there's enough in there to sustain anybody that might, in my office, that may work overtime. Because they do get a little bit of overtime, it's usually not a ton, but yes, I have enough in there to do that.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, this is your department, but money is in the general fund, which is 24 departments. So it all, I mean, we're getting ready to do the budget, it all comes from the same place, so we got to divvy it up going forward. It's not, I don't want to see it as only the clerk's money or only the auditor's money or the sheriff. It all is in one big pool, and we've got to allocate it to everybody as we see fit.
Well, it would have been, I mean, I would have, if I had kept the other employee, they would have still been paid that, so.
So by her staff working 40 hours a week and herself working 40 hours a week, she's eliminated a complete position and saved insurance and the complete position. Okay.
I hate to keep
One salary.
kicking everything down the road, but a long time ago, I don't like surprises. And I don't feel like this is a huge surprise, but I would like to know a little bit of this was happening. There was no emails or anything.
No, I didn't know about it just this minute too. But I think it's a good thing. I'd like to see other offices do the same thing. So
No, I don't disagree. I just wish I would have known. Just couldn't.
I'm sorry, I probably should have emailed everybody, I just didn't, I guess I didn't think to do that, I will next time. But I appreciate your feedback.
we need to make a motion on this.
So the three employees, additional 3,000 to 9,000, and then moved $1,000 into the overtime allowance line.
Yes.
Where does the remainder of
Back to the general
Back to
fund.
back to the general fund?
Yeah, back to the county.
Which is how much?
$13,871.85.
That's back to the county.
Yes.
Yes.
It'll go at the end of the year. I mean, I can't move it out of there until the end of the year,
How come?
technically.
You can't move it out to the end of the year?
I mean, it's
She'll
already
know
allotted.
it'll be moved out there when they're doing the budgeting for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, anything that's left over in the general fund automatically goes back and starts all over anyway.
Okay.
So it's not like every department gets that money to start with every year.
So the budget that you proposed for next year, did it include this bonus, or is it?
This is, so you're, no, this is a one-time bonus just for this year.
You gotta think of this. This is.
I mean, we can table.
We're getting ready to do budgets, we're getting ready to do salaries.
This is for this year. Since she's taken over in March, was it March? April, March. That office is run differently than every other office in the courthouse.
I like the idea that we're doing more with less. I feel like.
I do too. I think it's wonderful.
Ask for a 40-hour work week, so.
So right now, I'm the only office that has all the staff working 40 hours. I think some of the offices are open 40 hours, there's not full demand.
I don't know that from 4 to 4:30 or 3:30 to 4:30 that you, it's not,
If they're not manned,
fully, it's not like we have that high of traffic from 3:30 to 4:30. But, I mean, she is,
we get the late, we get the late afternoon stragglers, especially for
Yeah.
child support stuff, trying to keep up.
but not.
Well, the court, here's how I feel about it. Courthouse hours were changed. That office has done exactly what was expected or asked of them since the courthouse hours changed. And she's worked that many months to see if it works to do without that other person. And with your staff working 40 hours a week and the clerk working 40 hours a week, it can happen, which saves the county money.
So 2024, you'll only be budgeted for yourself as well as clerk.
25, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has a staff of 4 instead of 5.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm going to be put back in there.
Yeah.
No,
She has a staff of 4 instead of 5.
Can I make a motion to table this until next month?
You can.
There it is. Make a motion to table till next month. I'll second your motion. I just like to, look at it a little closer.
Okay, a motion from Andy to table, a second by Mike. All in favor? Opposed?
3 and 3, now what?
No.
So what we do, more discussion.
I think we should discuss it more. I'm,
I'm completely okay with it.
you just wanted to know ahead of time.
Every person that's came in here over the last 7.5 years, I've asked to give a heads up, and I didn't give a heads up on this one. I mean, I'm completely okay with it, I think,
I get
but
blindsided by something at every single meeting that I don't have a heads up on.
usually 2 hours later.
Doesn't, I mean, that's the way it goes. When you ask for things from the audience, you don't have a heads up on that ever.
No,
So,
but we
it's,
don't, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of not voting on it.
yeah.
What I
Yeah,
I
that's
understand. But
The
you
funds
agree,
can't come out
but you
the end of the
agree
year
with me.
anyway, so, I mean,
What's wrong with table that for 1 month?
I think that it's, I would like to see every office do this.
We've
So
all,
for me, I feel like it's a good thing.
what they had.
And so therefore I vote for it.
You want them to get rid of a position?
Every office needs to get rid of a position
Get rid
before
of
we
a
get a raise.
position so they
No,
can get a raise?
No, some of them I feel like are overstaffed. I've always thought that. I've kept that. That's not been a secret ever.
Okay.
I've said that from the first day I was ever on council, that I thought we had some offices that were overstaffed, and the ones that are, I think they can do better. And when you do better, that saves money for the county. And when you do that, then I want to pay people better. You only have so much money to deal with. So when you do something that creates money for the county, then you can pass it on to the employees. Because I don't want to tax people higher to give 120 people more money.
I don't know if anybody ever said for sure if we knew if we given a bonus before.
I did when
Yes.
I was the clerk. I gave it out of the 4D money. I didn't give it out of the general fund. It was given out of the 4D money that they got. It was only,
That's the other thing I was gonna
$500 to
reach out to Jackie or
$600.
somebody, because I'm almost positive somebody told me that you could not do.
I mean, you have to do a sell and stuff.
I'm not even sure it's called bonus. You have to restructure it.
I did talk to the Board of Accounts and they said probably we'll have to do a salary ordinance change.
A salary ordinance change to make the difference. So if you voted to give them the $3,000, it would have to be added on to their check between now and the end of the year, basically.
Commissioner's not involved in that since we're giving money.
it's not vote money.
It's not appropriate, it's an appropriation to change it. We would have to change the salary ordinance. We would have to change the salary ordinance for those employees in that office
For this year.
for this year, in order to give them the $3,000. That's what I was thinking. I didn't think we could give them a bonus. I didn't think we were allowed to
Well,
do that.
that's what we're,
But
wanting to table it to look into.
the Department of, the DLGF is who you would want to talk to, the State Board of Accounts. Be the ones that would ask that question. I know you can change their salary ordinance.
That's why I just don't think we'll want to make a motion to give a bonus.
Can't give a bonus.
Well, it's,
It's,
like I
you
said,
you can't call it a bonus.
yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
We don't
Yeah.
know.
Salary increase, a raise.
And I guess a raise, I might bad for using the wrong, probably the wrong vernacular, but
What's the salary?
State Board of Accounts basically said you just have to
It
do,
would be a salary change.
you have to do it.
So that's gonna be budgeted.
No, it won't be budgeted for next year.
If it's a salary.
Because that's not done yet.
It's just
That would
gonna
be
be
for
for the
this year.
remainder of 24,
You're making the salary ordinance change in 24.
not 25.
25 salary ordinance.
No, it would be, okay. So we'd have to change it back for 2025.
You just
Maybe
wouldn't. it
just whatever
wouldn't
you
be
would-
a line on the salary 2025.
But, yeah, I would- gotcha.
When it came to the raises, their salary, whatever their original salary was at the beginning of this year, that's what you base their percentage off of, not what it is with your 3,000 increase. I mean, it'd be nice, right, Cindy?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Want to give it another month, so
Right.
you gotta do whatever you want.
So we need another motion.
Well, you're at a tie, you're at the
At a
table.
tie.
He's
Yeah.
right. You have two options,
We're discussing
really.
it,
According to the rule, you have two options because we don't have enough, Pat, you to be. So because the ordinance says you have 3-3, you can ask Gail for her vote, or you can table this,
Which was the vote anyway.
or you can just table it, which I think is what. I can go back and say, you want to revote it, I'll say, okay, table it for another month, these guys want.
Well, I'll make a motion to table it for one, knowing that we're get the details of how to properly disperse
The monies.
the funds. Yes. I'll second that.
Mike, what you want to know is, make sure that this doesn't carry over into the following, we understand what the line's called.
Yeah, that, and we don't know, like, I mean, I know we.
How to go about
We
this.
referenced it as a bonus a couple times. We don't know if it's the proper term to use or how.
I think it's a salary change. I think we have to do a salary change. And so, it makes sense to figure out the proper way to do it before we vote on it next month. So I'm okay with that.
He did it first and he did it second.
All in favor? All right, discussion worked out. All righty, next we have Emily from SER.
I asked her to come tonight because you guys had asked
Yep.
last month.
What I had last month's paper.
Lance, I know you had questions. Last one, I have questions. You want to start?
Yeah, the questions I brought up previously were just overall, do we, my concern is the cash balance at SCER. And I guess my question is next year's budget, does it appear like it's gonna be the same as 24? Is there gonna be anything different? Because the path we're heading down is not good. So that was kind of my very general question.
When I went through the budget with the commissioners, we found there was some inaccuracies in the line items, so some of them look much worse than they actually are, because money was taken out of the wrong areas. And then I also had Colin English's money come out of my account, out of our PRN. So he got like a $16,000 lump sum for his back pay, so that made my budget look horrible. And then the overtime line item is also wrong. So on our pay vouchers that we turn in, at the bottom, it says regular hours, overtime hours, but my full timers, their overtime is already built into their line item. But all of that overtime was still coming out of the overtime line item. So it looked like it was coming out twice, and it's not.
After we talked last week, I asked Yvette about that, and she said that she wasn't doing it like that. So either
That's what she told me.
we're not understanding the
Yeah.
same thing, or
So
ask her about it, but
every full timer has 16 hours per
Built
pay
in.
period built in as overtime.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be coming out of an overtime line item because it's already in their salary line item, but it's still coming out of the overtime.
So have you sat with Yvette? I mean, I know you
Not
just
yet.
said you went with the
We just went to
commissioners.
the commissioners, yeah.
Okay, and the commissioners agree that, did they agree that that probably is wrong?
Yeah,
And so we're waiting to see the new corrected.
I gotta talk to Yvette, I guess, because she told her that she didn't, but that's what she told me when I
Because-
questioned it.
If the overtime is coming out of wrong, then what is their salaries? There would be extra money in their salary line.
Do you
But
have
the
any-
problem is we
We'll
have
just have to
two
talk to her.
openings, so some of our people are getting overtime outside of their 16
Right.
hours built in. So
So then that should come out of the overtime line.
that should come out of the overtime,
Anything
but their
after
16 hours built in should not.
Do you know what that number is that you're off by?
Not off the top of my head, no.
40,000.
That's the number she's talking about?
Yeah, they budgeted 15 and right now they're at 55. But some of that could be, like she said, maybe a double.
Yeah.
But right now it's showing 40,000 over.
And you believe that'll bring you back in line with your current?
It's still gonna be over budget because of the open spots, but it's not gonna be as bad as it appears.
Like, can you-
Because we're halfway through the year, so if it's been done wrong half this whole year, that's 16 hours per full timer per pay period. That's been wrong.
Well, but if you have open spots, that's not being spent. Your bottom line's not gonna be.
Well, that's where it gets confusing for people outside EMS. Even full-time, we have a Kelly Day on Tuesday. That should not be full-timers. That should be all of our part-timers. So they're still working that because we have the open spots. So yes, they're still using their money because they're filling that Tuesday Kelly Day that they shouldn't have to work, but because our PRN list is limited to 12, which doesn't cost us more to have more PRNs, it gives us a bigger pool to fill the open spots. If none of those 12 fill it, my full-timers are taking it. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
So they're getting additional
Letting them have
overtime.
Additional overtime.
Yeah,
Do you try to fill it with the PRN first?
always. And I've been covering it a lot lately now that I'm back from the baby. So,
I would rather you just did the administrative part. That's part of the reason why we
right.
changed.
Is that where you're going with this? You're gonna be the administrator? I'm more concerned, I think where Lance is, and I are looking at the same thing, I'll speak for. I just wanna make sure when we get closer to the end of the year, we're not getting popped with a big appropriation that we did or weren't aware of.
Right.
If you're telling us now that, hey, we had some confusion as to what account's supposed to be being charged X, it's gonna come back into fund it. And yeah, we might be over budget, but you'll have a better idea of how much that is by our next council meeting.
I can and get the distribution reports out and look.
Okay, I mean, I'm willing to say if you're in agreement that you come to the next council meeting and get this corrected, that you can come and give us an idea of what your run is gonna be on your budget to the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think that would be fair. I don't know any other way to, if you're telling me now that you're
Yeah.
over, but we don't know by how much and what that number's gonna be at the end of the year. I need to hear what that is.
Right.
Well, we all need to hear
And
that.
Yeah.
you'll have your books too, that you can look at her budget that she turned in.
I mean, is it gonna be roughly the same? I mean, I guess that's money. It was 1,071,000.
When I turned it in, it was a whopping 3,000 less than last year. And then we went through, we lowered some, we added a couple. It's still roughly the same, except Jerry had suggested putting that part-time clerical back in. And I didn't account for that in my initial, like I left that empty and he added that at that meeting. So that would be the only thing that I did not submit.
But he did that for next year's budget.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
But the budget I submitted should be about this. We even took into consideration upping the overtime and the PRN.
okay, but and like specific to this year's budget, you believe that with what you correct.
It's still going to be slightly
I got it,
over,
you just
but
don't
it's
know
not
what that-
as bad, yeah.
You need to get that fixed and then come back to us and let us know what
Right.
you believe that run
How
rate's
much
gonna be.
slightly?
So I have to determine if they're built in overtime and for better lack of overtime, like the extra overtime
I think that's
outside they're
where
built in.
I saw you were the most over. I don't know where you wanted, you had some other line.
There was, yeah, I mean, like, well, social security wasn't in budget at all. So it's up to like 30,000, 31,000.
The OAS side.
Yeah, we actually had two line items for that. One was 0 and one was like 40.
Yeah, I just, I'm looking at big picture. It looks like they're gonna have maybe $350,000 cash on hand the end of this year. End of 25, it's gonna be close to zero. We're heading down a path that's not sustainable.
I agree.
We had to put another $100,000 in for the budget for this year. Next year, I suspect Jackie will tell us we need to put in another 400,000 for it. That's about $700,000 we're pumping in to keep the thing going. I just don't know if that's the best way to do things. We need to, that's, earlier this year, I talked about a possible EMS tax. If that budget they have is what we need to take care of Switzerland County, we need to find a way to pay for it. That's where I'm going with this. I'm big picture, not individual line items. That's what concerns me.
I know the Dearborn County had to use their lit tax for their EMS.
Well, I want to make sure so that's Lance's concerns. I want to make sure that when you're getting those receipts back from state and federal, you're utilizing that into your operational cost, because I'm hearing, Emily, that we're not. And that's where it should be being used. We fund you through the general fund to get started in the year. And hopefully those funds from those receipts, understand you're still paying out waiting on November or December, but that carries over, and that should be giving us some relief on your overages or unexpected costs.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that we're not spending that on things that we shouldn't be spending on. It's actual operational cost.
Yeah. We
Is
are.
that's
Yeah. I mean, we are getting by the skin of our teeth. I've got a truck with 200,000 miles on it. I just put $5,000 in this week because the transmission was shot. Got another truck with 175,000 miles that's going to heavens next week. We are not over budgeted, I promise. We're getting by. I've got a 24-year-old truck that won't go over 45 miles an hour, but it's still in service because I don't have any other backups. Our 800 radios are going to be paperweights next year because the state is rebanding the 800 system. They ran out of FCC licenses. I have 0 radios. I don't even have a radio currently. My crews do. Like, we're not overfunded. We don't have expenditures here and there. Like, we're getting by.
Okay.
And I don't know how much longer those 2 trucks are going to last. Our new truck that we bought last year already has 30,000 miles on it. And we didn't even drive it over the winter because we didn't want to ruin it with road salt. So that's just non-winter use was 30,000 miles.
Being as far away from the hospitals as what we are, that's the way it is.
And yeah, Jamie mentioned something about next year getting more money from the Medicare and Medicaid.
So they-
payments. So there could be some help there, and
Yeah.
They're increasing their reimbursement. And currently they're concluding a 4-year study stating that they don't pay EMS enough reimbursement. So hopefully when that gets finalized, they'll increase it even more. There are runs we get $100 back from Medicaid.
What was
That's
the
it.
percent increase on what you were suggesting?
well, there was a 0.25%. We're at quarter now. Another quarter.
Another quarter.
But there's also, that's public safety. There's also just EMS tax.
Yes, there's the EMS that we
So
do.
that's just county. We don't have to have a town's approval and stuff like that. That goes
Directly.
directly to them.
Do them.
Jamie and I also talked about, because currently this county, we soft bill. We'll send you 3 bills, you don't pay it, you don't pay it. We don't go after you. And that's common practice in the smaller counties. But we've also looked into hard billing, where we will send you to collections if you don't pay. But that's kind of where we disagreed. I think we should just hard bill non-residents, because the residents are already putting in. Because we get a lot from the boat, people traveling through that don't live here that we're transporting. So even if we start hard billing those runs, we're gonna get more money back. But then we have to look at hiring a company that will go after them for the money. Our current billing service will hard bill, but they don't do collections. They said we would have to get a service to do that for us.
Do you have any idea how much we're walking away from there? Just in,
We lose a lot because,
no numbers?
no, not off the top of my head.
Well, that was-
Heather said if we wanted, she is our billing person. She said if we wanted to look into hard billing, she could put those numbers together for us. But she said even if we start hard billing, we're only looking at maybe getting 10 to 15% of that money back.
That's 10 or 15%.
Right.
Getting it all.
Yeah, so she said you have to take that versus how much you're gonna pay the company to go, like, do the collections for you, if it's gonna be worth it. And they have 3 companies that they work with. She said she could send me their information,
When you turn over to a collections agency, they're gonna work the butt off, you get the money.
get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always that, or we could just start hard billing everybody.
And
Unfortunately,
you could legally go for non-residents as opposed to residents.
I asked her that. She said, yeah, it's as simple as our charting software. They control it for us because that's how they bill our runs. All they add is one extra button, resident, non-resident, and when we do our run report, we click it and that tells them how to bill it.
Off of the premise that
They're-
we already collect those from taxes.
Right, we already,
I got you.
because they're taxpayers.
Okay.
Why should we hard bill
Makes
them?
sense. Yeah.
Because we get a lot from the casino. We
Sure.
get a lot of people driving through Swiss wine. We get a lot.
Legal?
I mean, I can look into it,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just based on the tax base being the distinction. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I can look into it.
Weren't you gonna do something with the people that refuse? Because right now you guys don't bill.
Yeah, that's
They
another
refuse
thing. So
transport.
we get called to, we have several in the community. They know what we do. They know what they can get out of us and they know what they can get for free. And they will call us for their diabetic issues. We go, we start an IV, we give them dextrose, we get them back conscious and alert. They'll refuse to go to the hospital. We can't bill if we don't transport currently. So we're out the fuel, the people, the supplies, the medications. We're eating that cost because we can't bill.
Can you refuse treatment?
No.
No, not at that point.
That's right.
But again, Heather at our billing service, she said they have several departments that they work with that do a standard non-transport bill. You're gonna recoup some of your money, but not all. She said it can be anywhere from $75 to $300. We go, if we use anything off our truck, we can bill them a flat rate bill. If we go and it's just a lift assist, we're not using anything off our truck, we don't bill it. But the people that we go start IVs on, we give them medications, we can start billing them.
You should. You should. I mean, if your truck breaks down, you're gonna pay a flat fee to get that tow truck there. no
Right.
matter what.
And then I spoke to Shane Williams, who's the director at KDH, because another thing that we lose thousands of dollars on are cardiac arrests. They're very expensive. All the medications involved, all the supplies involved. If we work a cardiac arrest and do not transport it, we're out thousands of dollars of medications. He said we can bill it, but only at a basic level, not an ALS level. So some money is better than no money. But that's something else we have to talk to billing about so they can get it set up. And that would be a flat rate cost as well,
Should be.
because we can't itemize our supplies, so it would be a flat rate bill. But then we've got the ethics thing, like someone just died, do we really want to bill them? But I'm like, they get charged in the hospital for the same code that we would run in their house.
You're providing services no matter what. It's-
Right.
yeah.
So those are some other things we've looked at to increase our revenue, which is sad.
Is it all or nothing? Like, or can you use your discretion on whether or not they get billed or not?
We can.
So a freaking flyer, you could just bill them and bill them and bill them.
But at this point with soft billing, they know they don't have to pay it. I mean, we've got people in this community, we go to their house weekly, and I guarantee they've never paid.
Not to refuse services, Andy asked, you know, can we refuse services? Okay, can't.
No.
But if it's repetitive and you can say
You have to start
every
over.
2 weeks, same individual
Yeah,
calls for the same thing 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
yeah.
We
And
can't start billing off of it being, hey.
we can, but currently it's still soft billing, so we can send them bills till we're blue in the face, but they know they don't have to pay it because they've done this with the system so long.
You think that is something that is over the top in Switzerland County?
I think the answer.
You see that more than normal, I guess whatever normal would be.
I mean, everywhere you run EMS, there's frequent flyers, but we have a few in this community that are worse than I've probably ever seen in my 17 years. Yeah. EMS is hard to make money because you're out there and you're eating so much cost. I mean, my payroll too, we talked about at the commissioner meeting, Swiss wine, we have to be there. We don't get paid for that. Comes out of my budget. 4-H fair, if there's horses on premises, EMS has to be there, they have to cancel it. We don't get paid for that. Football games,
You said have to.
for the horses only. That's some rule. They have to have EMS.
I mean,
so they have
why
to
are
cancel
we,
it.
why is the county picking up on this?
Almost got killed by a goat.
Football games at the high school, they have to have an ambulance there. We don't get reimbursed
I
for that
think they
either.
have to have one, but
We don't get reimbursed for any of that.
Why do we not? Can we build them? Could we build a high school? Could we build a fairground?
I don't know about 4-H. I know I invoiced Swiss Line last year.
You know
We
where
saw
that comes
nothing.
I sent them on that.
Oh, it's on the page,
What's that?
you know what,
I know exactly where it comes from. Just use it to
we're
prove
doing
it.
ourselves.
Just use it to prove a point. Okay.
Somebody else is commissioner.
I've learned a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's so much that everyone just expects EMS to be there, but no one wonders how it's gonna get paid for.
Yeah, I never knew that. I thought if you showed up, no matter what.
There's a bill.
And I get the hard and soft, but in my opinion, that should be a hard. I mean, you're providing a service.
I know Scott County, right before I left there, even their lift assist, if it became a consistent thing, like they were going several times a week for just a lift assist, they started billing them as well.
Yeah.
Because it was an abuse of the system.
Yeah, because they're wanting a couple here at the.
And we try, we started reaching out to Adult Protective Services, CMHC, like, hey, these people need additional help that we can't provide. And some of them have gotten help and others just refuse because they know we'll come if they call.
Thank you.
so
I'll get
you're gonna
the-
sit with you about, you're gonna come back to the next one specifically for the 2024 to give us an idea of where,
For the overtime, yeah,
right?
yes.
And then Lance's, I think, is, as he put it, bigger picture. I guess we'll discuss that when the budget.
So I don't know if it's a commissioner issue or you guys, do you want me to get more information on the hard billing?
It's the commissioners.
Okay.
Our opinion, or my opinion is that you need to be doing hard billing.
Yeah.
Because a little bit of something's better than all or nothing. And
Agree.
you are in a financial situation. And it puts the county in a financial situation, so we need to find ways to make it work.
And if that's right, that you can designate it off of those that pay taxes already versus those out of.
The billing
I'm all
expert says
for
she
that.
can and that they have in the past, so.
Run it by Pat and make sure we
We'll
don't
check.
sue.
Okay, well, definitely double check. Thanks.
Alright.
All right, good deal.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
next on the agenda is board reports. Mike, do you have any?
No.
Lance?
We meet, next Wednesday.
We had a meeting today, they just discussed applying for the Brownsfield grant, so,
Brownfield grants.
yeah, they're, wanna use it to tear that Shell gas station down after sales.
Randall's would be considered a brownfield.
Yes,
Yeah, and VB, that would be considered a brownfield.
that's all.
Yeah.
They're thinking about applying for that. I think it was changed to a Raider, like, gas station was Shell to
Okay.
Raiders. After sales.
Down there by Gold Star.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
they're a little bitty thing.
yeah,
yeah.
that's all.
All right. So there's grants for tear down things for brownfields.
I think it was $250,000.
Andrew,
We can't vote on him.
and I don't have any at all either. So we are good to go. But
Finley would like to speak. He didn't think he was gonna be on the agenda, but he changed his shirt and would like,
got black, clean black shirt.
he's got a green shirt on, he'd like to speak.
oh, Doc. All right.
I was just thinking, when I had the big one, I drove myself to the hospital because I didn't want to be called a frequent flyer. You know, I thought they'd
You
be.
know, it'd be hard to get it
They'd
on.
keep, they'd
You
keep
had
me,
a heart attack, you drove yourself.
yeah, they'd keep you out of that situation. You wouldn't be classified as frequent flyer. So there's been some confusion as far as budget hearings and one thing or another. So I want to make sure I'm on the right track. So the commissioners are, in fact, we meet tomorrow, I think, at 11. So we'll give our spiel on salaries and one thing or another. They compile that, and that's basically their estimate for the tax base. Okay, so then when will you guys be doing your,
When the commissioners give that to us and if we're not over levy, then we really don't have a whole lot to say about that. We can bless the budget.
well, you have a
and
lot
go
to
on.
say
You
about it.
It's
Um,
not
well,
just the
It
individual,
has to be under levy,
but they're just giving you recommendations on
Yes.
salaries.
yes.
I mean, everything I look at,
But if it's under levy,
For example,
then we
sixteen twenty
really
one
would not have a whole lot to say about it.
We have 100%. It's
I know,
totally
well,
ours.
we bless the budget, but if they come in with under levy, like we don't have to make cuts on things in
Well-
order to make the levy
That
Are
won't,
you talking
that
about
doesn't.
budget,
difference.
Todd, or you talking about
Yes.
stuff?
Okay,
Budget.
Uh,
I'm talking about
with salaries or
Either-
anything.
either or.
Yes.
The county, 1620-1-15. The county fiscal body shall fix the compensation of the employees of the county health departments in a manner provided by 36.2-5 or 36.3-6 after consideration of the recommendations of the local board of health. So I don't see that there's anything different than that. I mean, we just bring our stuff, and remember several meetings ago, we were talking about,
Well, you
we'd
should
had
just bring it
four-
to us.
we'd had 4 employees out of 4 that changed. We've sent these guys to schoolings, they've done Zoom meetings, they're experienced at about a year now. So the idea was to ask for a salary increase for those guys. And if you'll remember, you told us to bring those stats in. And so that's where I'm coming from. We're coming to you guys then, right?
So the
Same
medical
deal.
health does come to the council. You guys are replenished by the state. We get reimbursed
Right.
by the state. But the portion that we don't, the portion that's ours to decide, so we, the council, have, at that point in time, have to figure out whether that is a justifiable increase or not.
Well, sure,
So that's.
sure, but that's,
Your
that's,
answer,
but
yes,
you
bring that to
guys are
us.
basically doing what you've always done. Okay,
For you, yes. For medical health, yes.
I'm not sure I'm following that either, because I've got some other Indiana code that says it's basically most of these departments are supposed to be included in that.
No. If you look at the code, everything to
Well, I've been
Gale,
looking at it.
okay,
Uh,
there you go, there's a DLGF, you would have gotten it, no, you wouldn't, you're not elected. So all the
no, I'm just
elected,
a freebie.
yeah, all the elected officials receive this from the commissioner of the DGLF. Every department, every elected official, and every department head, last year or so, was to submit to Gale by July 1st of this year, their 144 form. That is all of their recommendations for increases. Gale, the first Thursday of July or the first commissioner meeting in July has to turn all of that over to the commissioners. The commissioners then have until August 20th to kick back their recommendation after they sit down with every department, as it states, every department head and every elected official, then they turn over their recommendation to us. That has to happen by August 20th. When August 20th comes, we start the budget process, we take the salary process. If the salaries are in line and it doesn't put us over the levy, then that's a done
Well,
deal.
the other,
If the salaries are over budget, then we have to go back to the commissioners and tell them that's not gonna fly.
the other part of this question is not just the salaries, it's the rest of the budget overall.
The rest
So
of
it's
the budget
basically
is
gonna
us.
be what we've done for
Yes.
38 years.
So the council is still going to meet with the department heads after not talking salary, I'm talking about
That's
my
it.
department individually, the
Yeah.
health department. So yes, you will meet with the commissioners tomorrow, but
Yes,
you'll eventually meet with them as well.
okay, that's just what I
I'm
wanna
gonna
make,
say probably sometime in September.
okay, I
I'm
think
not,
that's
I
gonna be
shouldn't
off that.
speak for them, but I would
Today
say.
was the beginning of that process. If you go down through that DGLF, you'll see that we are required by the state to today bless the, all
On the circuit breaker.
the circuit breakers. And then that process starts, there's another level that Gail goes out and posts it, and now we begin the budget
Okay,
process.
just wanna make sure I'm on the same page with everybody. Okay, thank you.
All right, I have, one other thing, is did you guys all got the email from John Bond today? It happened just a few minutes before the meeting. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost always. I know that you've all have it, but I'm gonna read it just so that the public hears it. As I mentioned in my message on Friday, new gaming numbers for July were released yesterday. Belterra adjusted gross receipts are down for the month by enough to impact the projections. An updated sheet is attached. July is typically a strong month for Belterra, but this year was their worst monthly showing since January of 2022. There was one less weekend in July versus July 2023 and July 2022, which could contribute to some of the drop. While it does not generate the dollars for county government, Belterra's sports wagering receipts were higher than July of 2023 and the third highest in the state for the month. We will not likely receive any new information until the revenue reports and tax payments come in during September. So July was down 22% from the year before. So, and it was enough of it to impact the projections for the, we were projecting 6,000,007 or something like that, I think it was. And so it's enough to, it's going to impact what that is. So I just thought I would throw that out there in case anybody in the public would want to know what's going on with the Belterra casino revenue. Anybody else have anything?
Can I ask a quick question? And I think it's, me and Doc did not talk beforehand, but I think it's along the same line. My question is it just official that the county council plays no role in casino revenue dispersion? That's the
We
standard.
beat that horse to death.
I don't know that we have, because I keep,
Well,
I
we
just want to
beat
make,
that
for
horse to
everybody, I
death.
want to make sure that's really
Yes.
clear. And so with that being said, then there is nothing to expect as far as nonprofits receiving those funds in November, or at least that's not dictated by this group.
It's not dictated by this group.
Okay.
Have
Thank
you
you.
went to the convention?
Yes, she has. She
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Just
You went to the
Claire-
commissioners?
Yes, she has. I put in a claim with the commissioners, for various things, so I'm just here for clarification, just need a yes or no. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
I guess I just want to clear up what Doc was saying, on that. If everybody does turn those in, budget in, we are under levy. We're not just a rubber stamp here. It's our votes that decide.
It is.
If we like what we see, so be it.
Yes.
But we never have up to this point. We
We've
always
never,
have changes.
what, 1 year of my 8 years that we've been under levy. One time.
We've decided to give employees raises when they didn't ask for it. And others ask for a ton, instead of bring them down,
Yeah.
we do all kinds of stuff. So it's not.
But we've done that in order to make it balance. We've done that because it's been over levy. We've never once ever done that just to be doing it. We blessed the budget when it comes in under levy. It's happened one time in the last 8
I mean, we
years.
still make,
And we
it was
blessed
ours.
it.
It wasn't anybody else's. It's our budget that we fine tune.
It's our job to balance the budget.
Yes.
Yes.
This one, it's not a rubber stamp of any kind.
No,
It's gonna be our votes that.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'm
I
sorry.
just,
about
I just don't like
that.
that. Really, I've attended almost all you guys, and I've attended almost all commissioners meetings. I felt like that's pretty perky.
Now, if we're over, Lance, we have to kick it back to them and tell them,
We've always done the heavy lifting on that, but actually they are supposed to, if you read
Absolutely
the
not. They make nothing but a salary recommendation.
Oh,
The whole thing is ours.
the budget part. Not just salaries. We do the
I'm not
salaries.
talking
They do the
about
budget.
No, they make salary recommendations.
Yes.
if we do what we did last year to them, for example, if we go back to them and we ask them to cut, I think, $1 million out. Under that, they are allowed, we can't tell them specifically, you have to cut $1 million out of highway like we did last year. We have to tell the entire county it's $1 million. The commissioners are told, where do you want to cut this from? That's the way it's supposed to
It
be.
means the whole county, I understand.
In other words, last year we were $1 million over. We went specifically to the highway and told the commissioners. Okay, fine. We told them to cut it out of highway. That's what we told them. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be shared with every unit in the county.
If you call the state board of accounts and the
Nobody has
DLGF
that.
or-
I mean, I wouldn't have it cut out. My
It's not just
I don't-
out of highway. It wasn't just, it's, you look at it as the budget,
Yeah.
you can explain it.
No, you got it, man. You look at the whole.
It's the whole thing. It's not just one unit of government. It's, if you're over budget, you're over budget for the entire county, not,
It's the general fund. We were over in the general fund. We went over in highway, SCER is different, health department's different. This is general fund.
well, hopefully.
You
we
can't
won't
pull
be
this out of
able to
highway. It's not in there.
deal with it. But I'm saying, telling you that.
This is ours. We have 100. Now, if the highway's over, we go to the commissioners and like, hey, the highway's over. You fix the highway. You fix SCER. We go to the commissioner for that. This is all us. There's 24 departments in the general fund. I've done this twice, basically by myself. So I'm having a hard time saying we're changing the rules all of a sudden.
I'm not changing the rules.
I mean, this is us,
Yeah.
so. That's, no.
I'm gonna
Is that the way
clarify
you
one thing.
understand that?
Sorry, I'm not sure I'm entirely following the
Yeah,
argument.
I'm gonna clarify that you don't do it by yourself. Everybody come in with their different things, and everybody went through the budget book. Everybody found places to cut.
Yes.
You might have gotten some idea, your ideas, but you did not do the budget by yourself ever. Ever.
Okay. I mean, these are my numbers that I wrote down during the meeting.
You stood up and wrote them down, yes, but that doesn't mean that every single one of them come from you and you alone.
Okay, my point is, there's individual categories where you have overages and other areas that don't matter, so you gotta focus on the ones you're over. You can't spread it out over the whole county, it doesn't work like that. And the commissioners have a say in the salaries, but nothing else. But if they're over, like I said, the highway, then they need to fix the highway. I mean, we can't take general fund money to the highway, so that's all I was clarifying.
My understanding from the statute is that the commissioners give recommendations on the entire budget. Because they go through a budget review process and they're actually authorized to give recommendations on the entire budget, which then comes back through the auditor to the council for approval. The council is not a rubber stamp at all. The council is the one that sets the fiscal policy and therefore has to go through the budget and make sure that the budget actually matches with the county's fiscal policy and approves it or not. So again, I'm not entirely sure where the disconnect is, but I mean, I'm happy to like pull it through piece by piece if that helps and like kind of set out kind of statutorily what the.
Switzerland County actually has a DLGF person that is assigned to just our county. Her name is Vicki Neely. And she does everything that we pay Jackie to do, basically. If we ask her to do it. She keeps us on track. She tells us what we can and what we can't do. She does all the paperwork that we pay someone else to do. Which I didn't know we had somebody designated for us from the state of Indiana that is part of our tax dollars that we pay that person already. And we're not really utilizing that a lot. And we should. And we should, because we haven't done everything right through the years. We have not. I know we've done it, and we've taken on a lot on council that I don't know how that ever happened because we did it for so many years that way. And you kind of just keep doing it the way that you did it before because you've always done it that way. And it doesn't mean that it was right. It doesn't mean it was the right way to do things. Because this council has taken on more than we've been responsible for almost everything. And and you are responsible for the finances. You are responsible to make sure that everything balances, but you're not the decision maker on a lot of it. Someone else is. And you have to throw it back to them. As our place is, no, we can't afford that. You need to find a way to fix it. And we haven't done that. We have fixed it for them. And they are supposed to be fixing it. Because all we do is look at the numbers saying, no, we can't afford that. You have to go back and fix that. And instead, we've done it all for them. That's what I've learned. So that's where I'm at. I would like to do things correctly. And I think that we need to share the responsibility with some of these other entities that they need to do their due diligence to do it correctly. And be responsible for the tax dollars. It isn't all on us. It's on us to pass it and to know that it balances, but it's not our sole responsibility. Anybody else have anything? I'll write down who's adjourned. I think she's on a phone call with her son. That's my guess.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Andy makes a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Todd second. All in favor? Almost time. Except 12.
Pat, if you had a chance to pass that stuff to Stacy.
It's on balance, like,
That's all that information on Stacy.
What were you, go ahead.